Hi guys, my name is Ashley Brandon. Welcome to my Pechakucha. I have never heard of my artist before this project. I did not recognize the name as it looked foreign to me, and it turns out that my artist is from southern France. So that's pretty interesting. So this is a recent photo taken on my artist's Instagram page. Again, his name is a little bit difficult to pronounce as I do not speak French, but it's Diede Triglia. Diede Triglia was born in 1966 in Perpignan, which is located in southern France. So he's only 56 years old, which makes him a 21st century artist, very modern artist as well. An interesting fact about Diede and his artwork is he loves to collect cans that have been crushed. Either some cans that he finds at the beach or in the parking lot. He'll take them home, collect them, recycle them, and use them in his artwork. Here's an interesting piece of Diede's artwork. This particular art has been offered at an auction before, and a lot of his artwork ranges from anywhere about $105 to $1,318. It all depends on the size and medium of his artwork. As you can see, his art is pretty spontaneous. They don't really have a purpose other than the fact that some of his art have flowers on them and they represent women. His artwork is just very silly and fun. As I said before, his art is very spontaneous, as he is a self-taught artist. He works for hours on end without even noticing. Here is an image on his Instagram page. He spray paints bottles and paints them. Here's a photo of Diede and his friends. Something interesting about Diede when he was younger is he started out his art by drawing posters for his concerts that he was in. He originally wanted to make music, and so he started out by drawing posters for concerts and realized he really liked painting. Here's a photo of Diede in action, actually designing posters for concerts. He loves to incorporate his artwork in other areas of his life, such as music and theater. This is a photo that I found on his Instagram page. It's a miniature sculpture piece of his artwork that he painted. It's pretty random, kind of looks halfway between human and animal. I put this image here to show that Diede really cares about our environment and really uses his time and energy on recycling and reusing the items that he collects in his artwork, just like I said before. This is actually a student's artwork inspired by Diede. She took a Sprite can and crushed it herself. It wasn't already crushed, and then designed it herself in her own creative way and then shared it onto the internet. Diede also spray paints his artwork. He doesn't just use crushed cans, he doesn't just use acrylics, but he does do spray painting as well. And here you can see he's wearing a mask. Here you can see that Diede used crushed cans to design his work here. The crushed cans are actually the head of these creatures. Not the eyes, but the head. As you can see here, this is another massive work of art that he has. Again, his artwork looks very soulish, kind of looks like human souls to me, or friendly cyclopses. As you can see here, there's horned creatures in this photo. Here's another one of Dioday's very interesting pieces of art. He actually made this into a mask that people can buy and use like in their classrooms or for Halloween, or even in the elementary art classroom, students can design masks. As I previously stated, this is one of Dioday's artworks. This one is actually really expensive. It's $4,546. Honestly, I would never spend that much money, but I'm not really that into art like some people are. This is another photo I found. He customized chairs with his art designs, so you can actually buy one of these chairs if you want, but you would have to go to a specific art gallery. This is an interesting photo that I found on Dioday's Instagram page. He took this photo after he collected all these items at the beach one day. Interestingly enough, he used all these items in his artwork, so he recycles a lot. For Dioday, painting is physical work. He actually hurt his shoulder and temporarily had to take a break from painting. As you can see here, these are very, very large sculptures. He actually has to use a lift to sometimes complete his paintings and his art.
So these are my references for all of the images that I used and all the information that I gave you guys vocally. Moving on to the lesson plans, I ended up doing 5th grade for upper elementary and grade 3 for lower elementary. This lesson plan, though, is really a multiple level lesson plan, and it's called the Dioday Triglia Headcans. Basically, the students would just learn about Dioday Triglia and how the arts and sciences connect through creating artworks with recycled objects. And then the students would just create a piece of recycled art just like Dioday created his recycled can art. But it's also very important that you have a class discussion with the students on how this type of art project also relates to the environment, recycling, and our ecosystem. So you just use soda cans, acrylic paint, cardstock, poster board, cardboard, paint pens, puff paint, and then as the teacher, I would introduce with 5th graders, I would introduce this lesson with a PowerPoint presentation of Dioday, and then of course discuss how the art and recycling are connected. And then basically you would have the students crush the cans and then design a background for the can on a poster board or cardstock. At this age, I would use a hot glue gun to push to keep the can onto the poster board, and then paint it, and then add any of the final results with paint pens or puff paint. Some of the standards, I have a visual arts standard relating artistic ideas and works to societal, cultural, and historical context to deepen understanding. And another thing I'm going to point out with you guys is the 5th grade science and engineering design standard, defining a simple design problem reflecting a need or want that includes a specified criteria for success and constraints on materials, time, or cost. So this is the visual example that the teacher would use in the classroom for the students to model after for their own headcan. For grade 3, it's basically the same thing. However, I would omit the presentation on D-Day because students at this age cannot really sit through an entire presentation like that and remain focused. So I would omit that, and then I would also get rid of the hot glue gun. Probably not a good idea for a bunch of third graders to be using a hot glue gun. So I would instead use scotch tape or duct tape for the can. Again, we would discuss how the art and recycling are connected. This would be for a science class. It doesn't have to be for the art room. A regular science teacher could actually do this type of project with their students as long as the teacher also integrates the idea that recycling is beneficial for our environment and our ecosystem, and how that relates to art, and how you can use and reuse products that you find on the ground, at the beach, or in the parking lot for art projects. Again, Visual Arts Standard 2, organize and develop artistic ideas and work. And another thing I want to point out is the standard, Kentucky Standard, the interdependent relationships and ecosystems, animals, plants, and their environment. And the other standard that says communicate solutions that will reduce the impact of humans on the land, water, air, and or other living things in the local environment, such as recycling cans. And this is another visual example. A little bit more, probably easier for a third grader to follow with this type of visual example. But yep, that's all I have for you guys. I hope that was a thorough presentation and that it made sense. Thank you for watching and listening.